no longer 2 by 2, it's 3 by 3 using determinant. And before I get to that, how do we do that? Let's see, how do we solve a 3 by 3 determinant? How do we find the value of a 3 by 3? This is what a 3 by 3 determinant looks like. Let me put some numbers in it. Having 0 is like someone giving you a break there. It makes the math easy. So when you see 0, just say thank you to them, because we just made the math much easier. How do you find the value of that determinant? That's called a 3 by 3 determinant. Why they call it 3 by 3? It has 3 rows by how many columns? 3 columns. And the best way, or the easiest way to find the value of that determinant, the easiest way, I think that's the easiest way, some people might disagree with me, is you copy the first 2 rows. I mean 2 columns, not rows. You copy the first 2 columns. Okay, ready for this? Here's what the answer is going to be. Multiply these numbers this way. What's 6 times 0 times 1? 0, that's why zeros are really good. Plus. Let's multiply this one. Notice it's a plus. 4 times 2 times 2. What's that? 16 plus 0 times 5 times 3. 0. That's not bad, huh? So we add them all. Don't get excited yet. There's a subtraction coming. Let me get a blue color here just to change it. Do I have a blue? Blue, here we go. Red and blue. Red, white, and blue. Here we go. Now the subtractions go in this direction. That's a minus. What's 2 times 0 times 0? 0 minus. Multiply these numbers. 3 times 2 times 6. 3 times 2? 6. 6 times 6? 36 minus 1 times 5 times 4, which is what? 20. So we add the ones going up, we subtract the ones coming down, and that's it. So what's that number equal to? 16 minus 36 minus 20. Is that a minus 40? That's the value of that 3 by 3. I'll do another one, then we'll start solving. You're going to see identical to what I did before. So only going to do one example. Let's do another 3 by 3. Find the value of that determinant. One, 2, 3. Negative 1, 0, negative 2. 4, negative 3, 0. Again, I like to put 0 just to make my life easy. Copy the first 2 columns. 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 0, negative 2. I'll go with the pluses first. The ones going up, are you adding them? So we'll start with this one. What's that number? 0 plus. Negative 2 times a negative 3 times a 1. That's 6. Plus. That's a 0. So these are the additions. Now let's do the subtractions. 1 1 times 0 times 0. 0 minus, what's that number? Is that a 9? Negative 1 times a negative 3 times a 3, that's a 9. Minus, that's a negative 16. And now just clean them, and there's your answer. 6 minus 9 plus 16. 6 minus 9 is negative 3 plus 16, that's what? 13. So how is that going to help me in solving a 3 by 3? Cramer's rule, again. What is the problem I screwed up? Well, I'll make one up. I'll make a new one. As I said before, I get bored quickly if I use the same example. Solve using Cramer's method. Or Cramer's rule. Method rule, whatever you want to call it. It's always called Cramer's rule. I don't know why it's not a method. Maybe he was just a ruler. There we go. Um, 5x plus 2y plus z equals 8. 2x minus 3z, there's no y here, equals negative 1. I opted not to put a y there. X minus 3y plus 2z equals 0. Notice there's no y in the second one. What I should have done, maybe put what? 0y. You need really 2 sheets of paper for this. And in the bottom, for x, y, and z is going to be the same thing. What's going to be there? Remember the Cramer's rule, the coefficient of x, y, and z. What are the coefficients? 5, 2, and 1. 2, 0, negative 3. 1, negative 3, and 2. And for y and z is going to be the same thing. The bottom will be the same. I didn't put the top yet for them. And for z, the bottom is the same. And again, I didn't write the top for any of them. Bless you. Let's look at x. See, I want you to see what I'm doing here, so I'm going to make the color red. Here's x. I'm going to replace the first column, because x is the first column. I'm going to replace the numbers in the first columns with the answers. So I'm going to put what? 8, negative 1, and 0. And the other 2 columns will stay the same. for y, I'm going to replace which column? Y is what? The second column. I'm going to take the second column out and put what? The answers. So the second column will disappear, and I'll replace it with the answers. So for y, the 5, the 2, the 1 stays there, but now the second column I'm going to put 8, -1, and 0, the answers. And the third column stays the same. That's what we did with 2 by 2. But now it's a 3 by 3. And for z, z is the third column, so the first two will stay the same. And replace the third column with what? The answers, 8, -1, and 0. And now I just got to find the answer to each determinant, and I'm good to go. How do we find the answer to each one? Again, you always want to start with the bottom, because if the bottom is 0, don't waste your time. So let me start with the bottom. 5, 2, 1, 2, 0, -3. And let's multiply. 1 times 0 times 1. 0 plus this column, or this row here. That's 9 times 5, 45. Plus 2 times 2 times 2, is that 8? Now we do the minuses. Minus this, which is what? 0, minus this one, which is what? -6, minus this one, which is what? -6. So what's the bottom equal to? 45 plus 8 plus 6 plus 6. It is 65 in the bottom. Let's see what the top is. Again, replace the first two columns. And let's multiply. Going up is first. What's that? 0 plus 9 times 8, that's a 72. Plus -2 times 2, which is what? -4. Now it's the minuses. 8 times 0 times 2, 0, minus 2 times -3 times 0, 0, minus. And what do we have here? It looks like a 3, right? So what is that number? 72 minus 4 minus 3. It's 65. What is 65 over 65? 1. X is 1. Now we get to the bottom. We get to Y and Z. Keep in mind the bottom is the same. So I already know that the bottom here is 65. I already did that early. And the bottom is 65 for both of these. So I just got to do the top, then I'm ready. 5, 2, 1, -8, -1, and 0. What is it? No, it's not. Just your eyes are bad. There we go. 8, negative 1, and 0. Let's do the positive ones. That's this one. That's a negative 1 plus, let's do this one. That's a 0 plus, let's do this one. That's a 32, right? Let's see what the minus is. Now minus, is that a negative 10? Minus a negative 24 minus a 0. So what is y equal to? Let's see what the top number is. Negative 1 plus 32 plus 10. Minus a minus is plus 10. Minus a minus plus 24. What do you know? 65 again. What's 65 over 65? 1. So x is 1, y is 1. Let's find z again, then we're done. Again, go diagonal. That's a 0 plus 3 times 5 is 15 plus, that's a 0 minus, I love zeros, that's a 0 minus, what's that, negative 2 minus, that'll be a plus, actually a negative number here. Is that 48? So it's 15 plus 2 plus 48. Well, that's 65 again. Well, I made the problem myself. I want it to be easy, so I made the answer 1 and 1 and 1. So my solution to this problem is x is 1, y is 1, y is 1, z is 1. If I had time, I would have done another example, but it is 12:55. We're milking it to the last second, you know. But notice these are a lengthy one, but this method is really not bad for a 3 by 3. If you understood the earlier one, it's the same thing, just the way you calculate the value of the determinant is different. The other one, you go this way minus that way. That's it. This one is more.